So starting something new is always weird. And this is one of those things. Because I can honestly say, before last week, I had never had a real job. I mean, I had summer jobs in school that lasted for a week maybe, or something like that. But never like an actual job, at like a retail place or fast food, nothing like that. So this has kind of been a shock to me, and I'm both happy and weirded out by it at the same time. I hope you can catch my drift as I continue speaking on this. So a little about me. I've recently, last year, graduated from high school. I graduated with great grades and got instantly accepted into a really, really good school here in my country. And I honestly can say I'm super happy with that. No lie. But I'm also a man, and men in my country have to serve in the military. So that summer, when I graduated, I was excited about my studies, but I knew I couldn't start them immediately. So, instead of thinking about a new apartment or what classes I was gonna take, I was looking for a job. I was looking and looking and looking. And it's hard to look for a job, And this was like prime time. This was right before summer, when all the job listings were still up, where you could apply to 100 positions. But I still couldn't get one. I was a bit shocked, to be honest, because those daydreams that I was having about my life, they included a job. They included me visioning myself walking every morning that job, getting that sense of rhythm, getting to help customers, and making money. My friends around me were all getting jobs of different types, but I wasn't. I was starting to feel like there might have been something wrong, with me or with my applications or something like that. So I failed with one of my goals before the military. I wasn't able to get a job. I was just laying around the house, unemployed. But then military happened. I was away for 6 months where I didn't have to worry about a single thing here in civilian life. I could just totally ignore that, stay in the army, get my €6 a day, which is genuinely slave wages. That's genuinely insane. I don't know how they get away with it in this day and age. But yeah, I did that for 6 months. I didn't want to be there any longer than necessary. 6 months is the minimum you have to serve, and that's what I did. That was my biggest goal in the military, to get out at 6 months. Because I still wanted to get that job. I started looking for positions even before I left the military. So I got to apply to a ton of jobs again. And by a ton, I mean, before even leaving the military, I had applied to maybe 30, 40 positions, which is like for a few weeks, it's a really, really good amount, I think. Or acceptable amount, considering I was, again, in the military and only able to do that on certain weekends. So I thought it was good. And as luck came to be, I got one singular acceptance into an interview. Now this one position was one that I had really put my heart on, at least for the application itself. It felt like it was speaking exactly to me, someone in a gap year with the interest in certain topics, going to school for what I will be going for. And I got the invite for the interview. So I did that in the military. I asked one of my superiors if I could do it. I got an empty room where I was on my phone during it with my camouflage clothing on. It was kind of a funny experience. Note, I did end up fumbling that interview, so I didn't get the job. But looking back at it, I'm kinda happy I didn't, because the job wouldn't have been that great. Not that my current position is any better, to be certain, but still. I think a couple days after that, we had a class with a social curator or something, where she talked about job applications, employment after the military. And two things stuck with me. The first, kind of funny one. She had apparently spoken with a young man who was really lost in his unemployment. And she was talking about how he kept on applying to different positions, but he was just not able to get a job. She, note, was in her 50s, and she said that she had never had to look for this many jobs, with being rejected every time without even an interview. And she said the number. 14 jobs. Not 40, 14. I was a little bit laughing to myself, to be honest, which it's not nice to say, but I was. Because that's just modern day, okay? Me and you know it. Getting a job is hard. But the other thing that stuck with me, she suggested using the governmental website for job positions, which I had never before used. And the main point of that, to be honest, is probably to get unemployment benefits. So people who either don't really want to work or who just can't get a job can collect those. But because of my studies, because of me being accepted into uni, I couldn't get any of those. So I was only interested in the part where you can look for jobs there. And I'm telling you, this is a cheat code, honestly. There are what feels like unlimited positions there for a lot of companies that don't know how to hire people. Like if me and you think about a grocery store or a fast food place, there will genuinely be tens, if not hundreds of people applying for that same one position. Here, you got companies who cannot get anyone. So this, I'm telling you, use this if you need a job. And so I started looking there. I applied to probably close to 100 amount. So, no, when I said cheat code, I don't mean cheat code like your parents' cheat code for their generation. I mean like something where you can still get a job if you really try. It was about a month after the military. I was still looking for jobs, trying to get an interview, sending applications almost every day. And at this point, I even went to a job fair or event where they said that they were going to have an interview at the end for this major retail brand here. And I wasted like 3 or 4 hours that day on it because I found out here that interview was just a mock-up, not a real interview. You still had to apply online, you know the saying. So yeah, I was not very happy with that, or very, not in a very good feeling after which, because I did not think I was gonna get a job through that, and I didn't. The next morning, I wake up like usual. It's like 1 p.m. I'm unemployed, enjoying that life. And I see that I have a missed call, as well as a message telling me to call back if I was interested in a job position. So, of course, I do. I call back. It's a man in his 50s who asks if I'm still interested in this one job position I sent an email for like a few weeks earlier. And I said sure. He asked when I could start, and I laughingly said tomorrow. And he said, great, you're hired. Come with me to the office. We'll get this sorted out on paper. We'll meet in 2 hours. I'm like, okay. I instantly go downstairs, get ready, tell my mom, and I go there. I do the paperwork, and the next day I started at my position. I now work in a factory. In a factory. I get paid minimum wage for a factory worker, which is a bit better than, for example, retail or fast food. So I'm not complaining. The work is that kind of brainless thing where you stand at the same spot for 8 hours in a day, doing the same exact task over and over again, while your back is killing you. I often think about how great it would be to just be back at home, laying in my bed all day, watching YouTube or a show or something. But then I think about how at times I just felt purposeless. Like, what am I doing with my life? And just even ignoring the money, which I obviously don't. The money is the main part. I feel like working is good. You know, we as humans, as people, we want to work. To feel like our life is doing something. And that's worth spending a good amount of time out of your day. Like I did when I was unemployed, spending hours each day, making and writing and applying and even going to those job programs without luck. Now working, it's a whole different culture. It's a whole different life, you know. Instead of being able to wake up at 1 p.m., I have to wake up at 6 a.m. every morning, like I'm back in the military. Walk to the bus stop that's a kilometer away, in the dark, in the ice, in the cold. At work, at least in the start, you have no idea what you're doing. Everything is new and weird. But hey, that's just life. Of course, there are those bad parts of this job. You get so tired in the evening. I genuinely don't know how people do this for decades. Like, I cannot do this for a decade. I'm glad this job is only for a month. I'm super glad. At first, this was only supposed to be a thing for maybe 3 days a week, but I've been putting in so much effort and they needed a replacement. So they made me a Monday through Friday kind of guy after like 3 days on the job. But the job takes a toll on you. It takes amount of time that is crazy. You know, it's not just 8 hours. It's an hour commute each way. You have to wake up early. The physical demand on the job makes you so tired by the evening that you don't even want to do anything. And it's a bit tough, to be honest. But you know, I get that you're probably laughing in the comments about me because I've had a sheltered life and I know it. But if you were to take anything from this video, I know this is a different kind one. This is longer than I expected it, to be honest. And a bit rambly. But Don't stay unemployed. Try to find a job. Even if you don't like it, you can just collect the money and leave. Or quit on the spot if it's that bad. You can get a job easier than at one of these major brands if your country also has an employment issue where a lot of unemployed people is through these governmental websites, as well as any positions that say urgent. Apply to those urgently. Send those emails out. If you don't have the time, just make ChatGPT do it and improve it on a bit, or have a form that you use for every single one where you just change a couple of words. That works really well. I haven't even gotten my first paycheck yet, but I'm glad I'm doing this work. I'm glad I'm getting the money, and I'm glad that I get to leave out soon because god damn. Because god damn is this position tiring. Enjoy your day.